Hey guys, welcome back. Today what we're going to be doing is something called literal equations. So let's go ahead and put down the objective for today. Today's objective is I can solve literal equations for any variable. Now I'm going to tell you in a little bit what literal equations are, but before I do that, I want to do a little review with two-step equations. So number one, it asks you to solve for x. You have 3x plus 5 equals 11. I want you to do this one on your own. Alright, so this is a two-step equation. The first thing you need to do is get rid of who's furthest away. So you can see that we have 3 and 5. The one that's furthest away is the 5. So we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. The 5's cancel. Then we bring down the 3x. And then 11 minus 5 is 6. Now we have 3x equals 6. We got to divide both sides by 2. So that we have 3's cancels out, x equals 2. Okay, now you kind of have to have the same mentality when you deal with literal equations. Now a literal equation is something that has more than one variable. For example, number 2, we have 3x plus 5y equals 11. There's two variables here, an x and a y. Okay, so whenever you have a literal equation, you have more than one variable, and it's going to indicate what they want you to solve for. So in number 2, they're asking you over here to solve for x. Again, we have 3x, we have 5y, we're trying to get x by itself. Okay, now we're going to start out the same way by subtracting what's furthest away, or getting rid of what's furthest away from x. Now in this case, it's 5y. So we need to subtract 5y from both sides. When we do that, the 5y's cancel. And on the other side, you have 11 minus 5y. Now this is not going to be 6y, because they are not like terms. We have a number, 11 is just a number, and then we have a variable of y. What you do in this case is you just rewrite them next to each other. Okay, now there's an invisible positive sign in front of 11, so the way that you would write this is 3x equals negative 5 plus 11. Again, these two cannot come together because they're not like terms. Okay, now x is not by itself yet, and again, we do have to solve for x. We have to divide both sides by 3, and then you wind up getting, on the left side, x by itself, right? And that means we're done as soon as we write down on the other side. Now over on the other side is negative 5y equals negative 5y plus 11 over 3. You cannot simplify this. I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite this problem down at the bottom. So negative 5y plus 11 over 3 is equal to x. Now again, when you are solving a literal equation, it's not going to be just a number, just like over here. We have x equals 2, it's just x equals a number. When you're solving a literal equation, it's going to be x equals a whole bunch of stuff put together. Okay, and you can't simplify it any further, so you're done. Now, why did I give you a two-step equation like number 1? Well, if you look at 1 and 2, the only difference is that we have a y in number 2, but we don't have it in number 1. Now, you don't have to rewrite this, just take a look at what I'm about to do. So I'm going to erase all this stuff right here, and then we're going to do this problem again, both of them problems, and we're going to do them at the same time. So you can see that you need the same knowledge of solving an equation compared to solving a literal equation. So again, we start with the equations. So they're the same thing, except for number 1 we have 5, number 2 we have 5y. Okay? The first thing I did in number 1 was I subtracted 5 from both sides. So the first thing I did in number 2 is subtract 5y from both sides. Very similar, right? So they both canceled on in both of them, so leaving you with 3x on the left side in both of them. All right. So in this case, we had 3x equals 6 over here. In this case, we had 3x equals negative 5y plus 11. Again, because these are not like terms. Okay. The next thing I did in number 1 was divide by 3. Okay. And guess what? The very next thing I did in number 2 was also divide by 3. So the 3's cancel in both of them, and then you're left with, in the left side, you have x equals in both of them. So we just pretty much bring it down. So number 1, we have x equals 2. Number 2, we have x equals negative 5, y plus 11 over 3. So it's the same thing. First thing we did was we subtracted from both sides. Over here we subtracted 5, over here we subtracted 5y, and then we both divided by 3 in both of them. So again, the same knowledge. All right, let's go ahead and do another problem together. Now, this one, for problem number 3, it asks you to solve for a. So we have ax plus by equals c. Okay, what we need to do is, again, is solve for a. We want to get a by itself right here. So the thing that's furthest away from a is by. So we got to get rid of by. So we're going to subtract by from both sides, canceling out the by's over here. Ax comes down, and over here we have c minus by. We cannot put those together because they're not like terms, so we just put them next to each other. So we have c minus by. Okay, now over here a and x are being multiplied together, and again what we're trying to do is get rid of the x. How do you get rid of x? Well, we're going to divide by x on both sides. So the x's will cancel on the left side. You'll be left with a equals, and then on the right side, since we can't simplify it any further, all that things just come right down. So c minus by over x. All right. So that's your third. Actually, this is your second literal equation that we did together. Go ahead and do number 4 on your own. You have to solve for r. And in this one, we have negative 4r minus 10 equals q. Go ahead and do this one on your own. Okay, guys, hopefully you did this one correct. So let's just go ahead and talk about what we have to do. So what we have here is negative 4r minus 10. The negative 10 is furthest away, so we're going to get rid of that first by adding 10 to both sides. All right, q and 10 over here are not the same, so they are just going to come down next to each other. So q plus 10 is just q plus 10. So now we have negative 4r equals q plus 10. Okay, now to get rid of the negative 4, we have to divide both sides by negative 4, canceling it out. R comes down, and then on the right side, since we can't simplify any of this, all that's just going to come down. So q plus 10 over negative 4. All right. Now, some people are probably asking the question, why do we even have to do this? This might seem like nonsense to people. But in math, there's a bunch of equations, a lot of equations that we have to deal with. Okay? So, I'll give you an example. Number 5, you guys should all know this equation. It's A equals L times W, area equals length times width. Now, this is an equation that will help you find the area if you are given the length and the width. Okay? Now, what they're asking you to do is solve for W. What would be the point of this? Well, the point of this would be if you knew what the area was and you knew what the length was and you needed to find the width. So, let's make a new formula that will solve for width. So, since it's L times W, this multiplication, the opposite of multiplication is dividing. So, we're going to divide both sides by L. L's will cancel out. And then you'll be left with A over L equals W. Now we can use this equation to solve for any width you wanted to for a rectangle. Okay, does that make sense? Hopefully it does. All right, number 6. Number 6, we have I equals PRT. All right. Now for this one, we're given this is the entrance formula. Interest equals the principal times the rate times the time. Now, say that you knew what the interest rate was. Say that you knew your principal and you knew how long you wanted to put it in the bank for. The question is to find the correct rate, basically. So once you find the bank that has the correct rate you wanted, then you can go ahead and sign the contract. So let's find out what rate we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide both sides. Again, over here we have P, R, and T are all being multiplied together. So we have to get rid of the P and the T by dividing by them on both sides. On the right side, you can see that the P's cancel. You see that the T's cancel. So you're left with R. And on the right side, we have I over PT equals R. Okay. So again, this formula would be used if you were looking for rate. Okay. Press pause if you need to, but we're going to go ahead and continue to the next one. All right. Number 7. All right. This formula asks you to solve for F. Now this right here is a temperature conversion formula. This is if you knew what F was, if you knew what Fahrenheit was and you wanted to find out what Celsius was, you would use this formula. But what if it was vice versa? What if you knew Celsius and you wanted to find Fahrenheit? What you would need to do is you need to solve for F to make a new formula. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Now we have to get rid of that 5/9. hopefully you guys recall to get rid of a fraction, 5/9, we have to multiply by the reciprocal of that fraction. So we're going to multiply both sides by 9 over 5 so that the 9's cancel and the 5's cancel. We now have 9 over 5c equals F minus 32, so Fahrenheit minus 32. We now have to add 35 to both sides. 35 will cancel, and then you wind up with 9 over 5c plus 32 equals F. So now here's a new formula. Given that you knew what it was in Celsius, you can find out what it is in Fahrenheit. Okay? All right, this next one is for perimeter. I want you guys to go ahead and try this one on your own. Now, this is a formula for the perimeter of a rectangle. The perimeter is equal to 2 of the lengths plus 2 of the widths. Now, again, we want you to solve for the width. So if you knew what the length was and you knew what the perimeter was, you can use a new formula to find out what the width is. I'm going to let you guys do this one on your own. So go ahead and do it. Alright guys, so hopefully you got this. So what you have to do in this one is get rid of what's furthest away from the W. So over here we have a 2 that's being multiplied with the W. And then over here we have 2L that's being added. So let's go ahead and get rid of that by subtracting it from both sides. When you subtract this, you wind up getting P minus 2L is equal to 2W. Now W is not by itself yet because we have to get rid of that 2. We're going to divide both sides by 2 so that the 2's cancel. And then we get W equals P minus 2L over 2. Now this formula can be used to find the width if you knew what the length and the perimeter of a rectangle was. Okay? Alright. Let's try a couple more of the just the solving. Alright, I'm going to let you guys do this one on your own. Alright, this is not any specific formula, it's just an equation. So we got x minus 3y equals 2z. I'm sorry, let me say it again. X minus 3y plus 2z equals 9. Alright? Go ahead and try this one on your own. Alright, now for this one, I hope you guys got this. It was kind of tricky. We have x and we have negative 3y that we want to get rid of first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract the x. When you do that, everything comes down, and then you wind up getting 9 minus x. But then we also want to get rid of a negative 3y, so we add 3y to both sides. That cancels. And now you have, again, all these 3 right here, none of them are like terms, so you just bring them all next to each other. So 2z equals 9 minus x plus 3y. Finally, we need to get rid of that 2 by dividing by 2 on both sides. That 2 cancels, and then we're left with z equals 9 minus x plus 3y over 2. And we can't do anything with that, so we're going to leave it alone. Alright, last one, I want you guys to try this one on your own. We have L equals 2n plus 1/2 m. Go ahead and do that on your own. Alright guys, hopefully you got this one correct. So first thing you need to do is you need to get rid of the 2n over here. So how do we get rid of that 2n? Well, we're going to subtract 2n from both sides so that the 2n's cancel. You wind up with L minus 2n equals 1/2 m. How do we get rid of 1/2? Well, the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2 over 1, or just 2. So we can multiply both sides by 2. Now, over here you can see that it cancels on the left side. On the right side. On the left side, we have to put in parentheses and distribute it because we have to multiply everything by 2. So you wind up getting 2L minus 4N equals, these cancel, M. Alright? Okay, now we're going to get some more practice with this tomorrow. Alright, have a good one.